Hello, welcome to another Blue Lightning software development in Unity stream. This one's just another thing I wanted to go over, which is to look at another. It kind of follows on from the Invoke versus coroutines thing last time, to a look at tasks. So let's have a look at tasks versus Invoke. I'm not going to bother with coroutine for the speed, because you could demonstrate it versus Invoke in the last one. Now, it's maybe more valid, but using Invoke as a baseline for speed that coroutine is just not going to beat. Yeah, a coroutine can do more. You can stack it with tasks that you could put within tasks themselves. Now, I kind of butchered bodged around the code from the last one. You really hacked it about. This is a task finished. It says coroutine. I didn't change some of the variable names. Complexio. This is interesting. What I want to do is just demonstrate the differences between the task and coroutine. I mean, I'm probably not the best person to explain tasks. I learned C# back in 2002 when it first came out. I used threads back then. I've always used threads. I continued using threads after tasks became available. I would just create a thread and join a thread. I've always done it that way. But it doesn't matter at all. So I'm not a master of tasks. I've just started using them, really. I mean, I've used them in Unity. That's about it, and not very much, just to do some real kind of like asynchronous stuff that would go to the one of these logging things that sends emails, that kind of thing. What's Complexio doing? Complexio is taking x equals now going to be the complex number that I just added, complex factor. Well, this is a little routine to demonstrate processing power. So what it's doing is, while x is greater than 0.1, x times itself. Okay, so it kind of squares itself. So if you start with 0.1, that's going to take no time. That's going to be like one iteration. You're going to get to 0.01 and exit. So I've just added Complexio to the Invoke method. These would be, if you looked at a previous video, coroutines versus invokes, you would see how that works if you're not quite sure. I added the task method. Okay, to make it fair, the delay is make it fair. There was the casting involved. Okay, so I guess to really make it fair, I can remove. We're just going to assume that delay seconds is always 0.5. All right, so that's a shame. I can't change that now. But who cares? You know, weights. There is no weight, so because we're not using coroutines. So it's using 0.5 f, the float. This is one of the differences between Unity time and task time, which is in milliseconds. So I was doing this cast, and I thought, no, let's call it half a second, 500 milliseconds, and half a second. They each now, invoke goes to invoke as per the last one. They both have the delay inherent to the invoke called complexio. They both call complexio, and then they tick up their counter of tasks until they finish. Now we go back to this, where it should print on the screen. I'll just test this, okay, because I've just run it up. I want to have it running on these buttons. Let's just test it all works. Right now what it's doing is, oh wow, don't press play, because what's important here is, did I just press, no, I've just compiled it. So look, the number of iterations, it kind of jams up a bit. This would just run on start and hopefully print the information here rather than the debug log, but it's still running on start. Boom, boom, there we go. There's a little bit on 10,000 iterations of the overhead. Does any of it make sense? I kind of struggle with this. What it's saying, the task took 30 milliseconds, slightly more overhead, and that will scale almost linearly if you look at it. Oh my gosh, what was that? Anyway, 30 milliseconds and 2 milliseconds for invokes. The tasks completed themselves quicker than the invokes. I'm not sure how that makes sense. Yes, I do, because the existence, even one line of complexor, does that make sense? There is a slight factor. Okay, just to get the real raw baseline, I'm going to remove complexio. Let's not even call it, because just the call could have a slight overhead. Task method and invoke method. Want those next door to each other, be much easier. Complexio is removed. So now it's literally just like last time, it's just the counter, it's just calling each other, calling a load of tasks, calling a load of invokes. I've seen threads about these, like forums and stuff, and there's always some kind of, oh well, don't you understand tasks, do this and that would, you know, in certain conditions, it doesn't make sense, I'll test everything. But here is a raw number, just doing it this way. It's about the same. There was nothing from complexio there. The tasks complete quicker than the invokes. They take a slightly higher overhead. I'm not sure what this is. I'm not sure how exactly to explain that, but the call took slightly longer. The completion was quicker. So invoke had some overhead somehow. That's how it happened. I mean, I'm working out the times. It's at least half a second, because they sequentially loop round them, and then they're finishing these 13 milliseconds and 2 milliseconds. So I mean, everything on top of 500 milliseconds is overhead of them all running. You know, I just don't, I'm not 100% sure the difference in the second number in this instance, but the tasks completed a bit quicker. Okay. Somehow, I mean, these are identical on coroutine and invoke, all right, but task, the overhead of the completion, somehow the actual running it, you know, invokes call here, so it just calls them all and ends here. Let's try and get that next door to the task. Yeah, so invokes are under tasks here. So we've got more or less identical. Can't hide it out so we can see it. Near identical. There's stopwatch started itself, and then it made these calls, and that's the first number. Time to call. So it's literally the call time. But following the methods, it goes through, and they both go to a finished, where it reports this. Now that just the actual running, so it's like it scheduled the invokes, and there's some overhead, and it kind of munges. Could it be to do with like frame rate timing? I mean, there's almost the possibility that the invokes, like, they were identical in coroutines because they internally Unity bunches them together with the frame rate for the, I think ultimately the decision of timing of a coroutine or a invoke is based on the frame rate. So it has to wait for a relevant frame to occur before it can make that call. Therefore, they're delayed slightly, the delay to the nearest frame. Even though this will be running at like 1,000 frames per second, that still adds the milliseconds. It's kind of what I'm suggesting is possible. You know, it's just a frame rate delay that gives us the difference in these two numbers. Okay. What was the point of complex factor? Right, this is interesting because going back to complex factor, if we add complexio, this doesn't, in itself with 0.1, this doesn't change it. Okay, it's 0.1 times 0.1 equals 0.01. If I start making it 0.99, then it's got to do 0.99 squared all the way down to 0.1. So if we had a calculator out, 0.99 x squared, etc. It's not many iterations, was it, actually? Where we can change is 0.999. Look at the number of more iterations. 0.1234, 1, 2, 3, many more, several more iterations. So you can add complexity to that. I think it's just a float. And that will slow it down because that will happen every... what this is designed to do is display the multi-threading differences possible. Let's have a look. So, okay, so we could just run it with... let's try it, 1700 to 2000 or something. Let's do one. Let's see if that's visible. That's slowing it down. Every one of those 10,000 calls is now doing a bit more math. It looks almost the same. I wanted to rig these up as buttons so I could change this. I might just put these buttons on. If I had a function to start test, give it an index. So rather than doing in start this, right, 0 is task, else invoke test. Comment those out. Okay. And now we import that and change the buttons to... I mean, where I'm trying to head with this is that we could compile this and say, oh, well, look at it in a build version, because I'm not 100% sure that the editor is even really doing these. All right, so which one's this? Is the second one. This is invokes. Runtime. Looking for test stuff. What's that? I've got a thing on it. Test stuff. Do we not just test stuff? Start test. And compile it. I'm pretty rubbish at UE, actually. I'm a bit worried. Let me set erasers while I get these buttons to work. What? Does it? Wouldn't it be this thing? We go here. Yeah, that's it. So, start test. This one's 1. This one is going to be 0. Okay, so okay, let's start that. Let's see if that works. What we can now do is change the numbers, the repeats and the complex factor. Yeah. Do multiple calls, test for consistency. That's interesting, isn't it? Can you see how different that is when it's not in the start function? And they're not running simultaneously. Okay, so they're running independently of each other. I could probably do a lot more. 100,000, let's try 100,000. 100,000 tasks. Yeah, okay, 100,000 invokes. What's with that? Does that look right? It sounds weird, okay, but this could be exhibiting part of the difference between the events of the buttons. I'm not sure that even makes sense. It's probably something to do with the UE and yield on a task, which I don't fully understand. So, yeah, because that's locking this up like crazy. Not being a master of tasks and UE at the same time, I'm not sure what's going on there. It's getting like a random number. Right, you might need to give me a few minutes to come back and look at this. Let's see, let's try reducing the numbers. Very similar. It's almost like there's nothing on it. I mean, that's how it is, I guess, but I'm surprised that the tasks stacked up. Tasks stacking up massively compared to invokes here. You see, Invoke's adding, it's all based on the 500 milliseconds. This is a bit of overhead. 26 for the calls, that's like taking it no time at all. I did notice this earlier, there's a certain number, if you have like X amount of tasks, but can you see the dramatic jump since I started using UE? I think it's dramatic. It's still waiting. Because the UI is locked at this point. Yog. It's on 500,000. It's taking ages and is locked. Yeah, it took an awful long time. And it appeared that it was blocked, but we're actually using something like this second answer here. So we've got await task delay. That's very similar to what we're using. Possibly if we put, this sounds silly, but okay. People are just thinking, wow, you really done down these task work. There is some weirdness in the tasks along these lines, but that was clearly, you know, despite being quite similar to what was shouldn't block, it did block. So let's see if breaking it offers its own task here and awaiting that like this, if that changes things. Yes, that helped. Alright, so that's unblocked complexities of tasks and async. If it's not nested as an actual task in this sense. See this kind of stuff. That blocked the UI. It's just an oddity. It's the way it works. I mean, if you should be doing it like this, it should be a task within the await, and therefore as a task, and it didn't block the delay. It didn't block the UI in the second instance. So back to the test. I still think it is. It kind of reversed it from the start. I mean, it could have just been there was more work going on because we ran the pair of them kind of asynchronously, we just left them both running, all the invokes and all the tasks at the same time. It'd be like me pressing those two buttons really quickly. Does that change it with the larger numbers of tests? Let's have a look. All right. These do seem to take a while. 196 and 30. Yeah, I mean, introduce UI and the task is really falling down. Even with a mag complete. Alright, yeah. Did you see I pressed them two together? Alright, so get the tasks running and then click invoke and they're slower. Yeah. That's probably to do with the threading within the editor. That like when we ran them both in the start method, just these two like this, it's along the lines of pressing task and invoke really quickly, like bing bing, and now we get similar times because something's locking up within it. It is kind of suggesting that the multi-threading of using the UE, pressing them separately without the tasks and invoke it handles itself much better, even given this complex factor. Let's increase the complex factor. That's not nearly, how many can you have in there? That's probably the maximum complexity. I could make it more complex. That's more complex. So let's make it not too hard. Try the tasks. Are these going to blow up? No, we haven't started yet. Okay, so yeah, I mean, this is interesting, right? Let's have a look. Tasks, not bad. I mean, look, there's no overhead on the invoke, so again, being completed either. 1, 2, 3, 4. It did not do it in 497, did it? Did I just press it twice and it's taking ages now? Is it stuck? There's a lot of iterations to get that under 0.001. No, it's immediate. Wow. Is it actually calling that? Is that even switched on? So every time it goes around, it does its delay, calls Complexio, keeps doing that until the number goes below there. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's not a very good complex test, is it? That's probably the limit of a float. I think it's 7 decimal places or something. That's not even slowing it down at all. Can it actually go lower than that? That's a good point. It might have been one too many. Let's just check that. Nope, totally does it. It's got no issues. Oh, we're going to have to raise the numbers and see if that... What it's suggesting is in this scenario, actually, that tasks are worse in both ways. This is 100,000 Is it honestly saying? Yeah, it's saying invokes are almost immediate with no overhead, even with 100,000. Just the way that I've done it here, whereas there's quite a bit on these. I'm not sure this complex is working even. 3328. Nope. It seems to be making no difference. Because that's supposed to exhibit the computational power being multi-threaded. But I can't actually see it. I need a better number thing. I mean, does it like even vaguely? Yeah, it does vaguely. It's like 20 milliseconds plus on all of those. What's it doing to the tasks? Bit of a pain now. There is a limit actually, probably based on this, to the number of tasks that even if you did it without the UE or anything, the number of tasks is kind of limited. So alright, hold on, just to test, let's make this really simple. There's not a lot of computation going on now. Yeah, it's better. The tasks were taking that worse than the invokes. Did you see that? But there's kind of like a limit to the number of tasks. So this is 200,000. I think it's still running. Yeah, wow. Can you see they spiral out? The internals of task, it's just a theory, that something's going on. Because I found this when I started the test with 1 million. Look at the invokes. I'll do 200,000, 593, and look at tasks can't actually get to that. We're going to be sat here waiting. So this is Invoke with a bit more math complexity, 624, because presumably the Invoke is running single-threaded. Let's see if that mathematical complexity on this rather long call, that was 18 seconds. So that's all we've got to count, really. The time. Is this going to be longer than 20 seconds, say? The 18,000. There we go. Oh, no, it's a bit quicker, that one. This could be affected by background tasks, anything. But it kind of shows you, actually, with tasks versus Invoke on this very simple test. The Invoke seems to be winning. I wasn't actually... I could try and build this. I think most player settings, depends if it takes it from the last one or not. Oh, would I have to import IL2CPP? Let's just default build it. Yeah. My project. Let's create a new folder. Let's call it build. Bloody hell, mate. where did I put this Unity thing? Oh no, there it was. Okay. Folder still empty, I'll build it up. And we could argue about IL2CP and all this kind of stuff. But just on this very simple case, let's go through it because it's an interesting result. I wasn't expecting it so much. Let's have a look. This stuff doesn't happen. That was some old stuff. It's just literally doing that. 500 millisecond delay. Complexio. They're both calling out. They're both doing a bit of math. It doesn't seem to affect the invoke very much. When it's done, it gets to here and it finishes. Why did I hate Unity? Why is it doing all these shaders? Are any of them used? I've got a ton of stupid shaders in this thing, and it's compiling them to, none of them are used at all. We could have deleted them all in when we're doing this. I should have started an empty project. Yeah, now I've got to talk. Find a video on YouTube, anything. It's going to just hurry up. Arg. Oh wow, this is interesting. Is this the error? It had a new stopwatch. We completely messed it up. Did we? No, that would be the same. The stopwatch is restart. I don't think that affected it. We'll give it a quick test. That's some old botch code. Because these are just created new with it. That created a same name. It's potentially that could have messed it up, actually. Whoops. Let's see. Come on, fudge. What is this stuff? It's a good job we checked that. Actually, though, whilst we wait for this global managers.assets to package. What is this? As this simple, it's compiling this. Let's go, cutie. Check everything. Look as identical as possible. Got these right, got that right. Finishes, where the finish method starts, finish, invoke, finish. These just named from the previous thing. Lapsed to lapsed. Oh, come on, how long did it take? It's not making more shaders. Can you imagine? I had a ton of junk materials in this folder. And it's just ruining the stream with compilation of shaders nobody's using in this. You just hurry up. Deferred that many. Come on. If only there probably is somewhere like a don't use any shaders. No one needs them. What's the problem? Nothing, no shaders are used. It's just a canvas. 5 minutes for some stupid shaders. I mean, I've got half a mind. I could kill it, cancel the build, and that'll take like 10 minutes to rewind because it's Unity, right? So, what can you do? Come on, it's nearly done. 170 out of 186. It's finished. Come on. Let's fine tooth comb everything. Is there anything else? Didn't think so. I'll probably have to build it again because of that change with the stopwatch. I've got a mind to just delete everything. I might take a copy of the assets. I'm doing that on the other screen. I'm copying the assets from that file. I'm just going to dump it somewhere, and in case I do need those shaders for anything elsewhere, let's do that. I'll sort of let it all build. I mean, frankly, the shaders will probably build in a second time round if it's cached it properly. Alright, that's done. What a pain, that's pain. Okay, so let's go through. Let's just try it without that stopwatch bodge up. I can't even remember what it was. Removed it. There was a new stopwatch there. Without working it through, let's just see what happens. Did that affect? No, they look roughly the same. Light complexity, 100,000 calls. Tasks take seconds. Yep, 5 seconds. Invokes don't. Exact same thing. We could rebuild, or we could just run that project. I'm just running the exe from the build. Let's put it on the other screen in full screen mode. Unbelievable. God, I'm gonna have to kill it with Task Manager as well. This is, what a pain. All right, so that's Unity. Love it. Okay, so let's go to the build settings again. Let's go to this project and delete everything that wasn't. I'll probably take it 3 hours as well. I'm really going to apologise for this. Can you just hurry up? Do you know what I mean? It's a Unity fast settings for anything. What is that? What was I doing with Unity? Okay. Let's go. See, this is recycling disk space has actually gone horribly wrong because oh wow, did that fudge up everything? Oh wow, was some of that the actual outdoor scene stuff? That's some basic make your game work. No, that's not usable now, is it? It's breaking. Hold on. Oh, I'm going to cry. I have to go to the recycle bin. undelete the last things that changed that. I think it was the woodland maps. Somehow these were used. Refresh it. Nope. Oh, I deleted settings. That's what it was. Can you believe it? Get them out of the recycle bin. Get your stuff back. Come on. Come back, settings. They returned. Settings. Refresh. Come on. It's like a stitch in time, isn't it? Woodland maps. What's woodland maps supposed to be? Jesus. Alright. Don't delete your settings. I still got this shit. This stuff. Raw assets that no one needs. Is there anything else? Read me. What? Okay, if you stay with it, really sorry. I'm not going to edit it either, so you know this is coming out raw. We just sat through some real garbage. There we go. Let's have a look. Why is the canvas slightly off now? What's up with that? Why did the canvas suddenly freaking go to the wrong place? Let's put a panel on it. Let's put these into a panel. Let's take the panel image off and drop it a bit. It's got a very big scale on this. It's like, yeah, it's got a resolution. It's quite low anyway. Alright, so we've got that in the middle. That's readable. Okay. Let's try again. Let's build it with a window. Okay, it's just going to work. Alright, let's hope so. Need to save that setting. It's just going to work for us. I'll find the build folder again. Luckily I've got another screen so I can go through this Unity projects. I knew I shouldn't build something on a stream, it'll just go wrong, right? Okay, so we're going to build it again. I've kind of forgotten what we were even doing. I think we're trying to see if, like, when I build it, there's an outside chance that the editor doesn't actually multi-thread very well. That's totally possible. Is it going to build just like quick now? Come on. Straight to burst. Yeah, that's how it should have been. Without all the shaders. So now I can run the project here. That's what we just built. Let's put it on another screen. Oh wow, my stupid. Here we go. Alright, it's gonna work. Come on. Yeah. Oh, I must be retarded because that's the default settings. We don't have the, unless I create a panel to actually change everything. I'm not seeing, right, tasks are all over the place. Invokes are much more consistent. Okay, so I think the best thing to do, unless you want to sit here while I I'm going to create quite a complicated 100,000 general setting, because otherwise we're going to be here forever. So this is just going to be quite a complicated strung out one to see tasks versus invoke. With 100,000 iterations, 100,000 not iterations, 100,000 tasks and 100,000 invokes. Yeah, they're taking ages now, the tasks. I think the tasks just take ages. It could be the way I've done it, but they take about 5 seconds. Yeah, and the invokes are just done. That was with a bit of mathematical work in each of them. And the invokes are just miles quicker. Okay, I've got half of mine to finish there. I'm not sure. Someone's going to say if you switch to IL2CP, it would be better. Maybe. Some stuff here. So where's the basic mono? Mono to, right. Okay. It's IL2CP net B now. Just deleting the old one. Here we go, build it again. Build. Here it comes. Oh god. What's that? Yes. Oh, people asked about the game. Taking a bit longer to build the IL2CPP, but it should be there pretty soon. I'm not sure, did I make a mad mistake or what, but is Invoke just running way quicker? Presumably on a single thread. There is definitely something to be said that tasks en masse mess about with themselves, i.e. they create they slow down. You know, there's probably some overhead involved in .NET's threading. It's not the obvious thing I forgot somewhere, but it's possible that C# task handling internally struggles when you create tons of tasks. That's what I'm thinking. Is it appears there's a bit of overhead. Maybe it was the way I made my tasks. Maybe that's botched up. I'll read up. I'll try and find something. I mean, if there's quicker ways to do this, that this is making it slow, whatever. The way it's rigged up was bad. It could be something. I doubt IL2CP is gonna make much difference. Just go over here. Is that built now? Yeah. Okay. Well, this is the IL2CPP version. Okay, let's look at this. It's not really helping it that much. It is a bit, actually. It's bringing that down. He's brought that down a lot with IL2CPP. Anyway, I might do a part 2. I'm going to look at all this stuff and then, you know, try to see where I went wrong, see if that's just how it is, or if there's a way to improve these results. But that's the difference: tasks versus Invoke, even compiled into IL2CPP. These appear to be the differences. Okay, so I'll end it there. Thanks for